Welcome to Living Life. We're continuing with Augur's sayings today. Yesterday we looked at the first part of chapter 30 in the book of Proverbs, and today we'll continue with Augur's oracle in the rest of the chapter. We ended yesterday's discussion by talking about satisfaction. The Rolling Stones sing famously, "I can't get no satisfaction, but I try, and I try, and I try."
Proverbs chapter 30, verses 15 through 33. The leech has 2 daughters. "Give, give," they cry. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, 4 that never say enough: the grave, the barren womb, land, which is never satisfied with water, and fire, which never says enough. The eye that mocks a father, that scorns an aged mother, will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley, will be eaten by the vultures. There are 3 things that are too amazing for me, 4 that I do not understand: the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young woman. This is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, "I've done nothing wrong." Under 3 things the earth trembles, under 4 it cannot bear up: a servant who becomes a king, a godless fool who gets plenty to eat, a contemptible woman who gets married, and a servant who displaces her mistress. 4 things on earth are small, yet they are extremely wise. Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. Hyraxes are creatures of little power, yet they make their home in the crags. Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. A lizard can be caught with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces. There are 3 things that are stately in their stride, 4 that move with stately bearing: a lion, mighty among beasts, who retreats before nothing, a strutting rooster, a he-goat, and a king secure against revolt. If you play the fool and exalt yourself, or if you plan evil, clap your hand over your mouth. For as churning cream produces butter, and as twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife.
Here we see in the beginning of our passage for today some pointed examples of non-satisfaction. We see the leech referenced. We see Sheol and the earth, ever thirsty for water. Sounds like Southern California, where I live. And we see fire that never says enough. The way of the heart sometimes is that it is always longing for more things, more stuff. This should give us pause. Have you ever found yourself never satisfied? Even when you've gotten what you wanted, you weren't happy? Many of us can be like this. And sometimes it's not even about things. We can think, I need this kind of relationship, or this kind of job, or this kind of experience. And then we get it, and we still want more. How can we build contentedness into our lives? Well, we surely need to look to the Apostle Paul. He says in Philippians, "I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength." Well, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength, in plenty and in want, in times of flourishing and in times of scarcity, in times of joy and sorrow. God gives us the strength to be content. Let us not always want more, to be dissatisfied, to be lamenting what we don't have. May we live contentedly with what we do have. Now, I'm not saying we should strive for more or seek higher goals. We should live into all that God has for us. and be the best version of ourselves we can be. And that should include giving our best and reaching for new heights. But we need to let the rewards fall where they may. The joy and contentedness comes from the effort, not the result. If we have given our best and done what we could, then we can trust that God will provide for us. Augur continues by doing some comparing about things he doesn't understand. 3 things are too wonderful for him. 4 he doesn't understand. Under 3 things the earth trembles. Under 4 it cannot bear up. 3 things are stately in their stride. 4 are stately in their gait. These comparisons bring together some examples from the natural world and people. He marvels at the eagle, the snake, and the way of a ship. He doesn't understand men or an adulteress. Augur marvels when a slave becomes a king, a fool is glutted with food, and when a woman gets a husband, and when a maid succeeds her mistress. I'll let you figure out which one of those 4 things makes the earth fall away. Augur marvels at ants and badgers and locusts and the lizard. He then references the lion, the strutting rooster, the goat, and a king. This admiration reminds us of the book of Job in chapter 40, where God answers Job out of the whirlwind, and one of the greatest reminders of our place in the universe of all time. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? God says. Tell me, if you have understanding, who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Who shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb? Have you commanded the morning since your days began? Have you entered into the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare, if you know all this. I think what Augur is leaning into here in our passage references back to the beginning of this chapter in a very Job-like way of seeing our place in the universe. That God, whose power and knowledge and creativity is endless, has done all these things with lions and roosters and goats and kings. God is in charge of the eagle, the snake, the ship, and relationships. When we can't understand what is going on in our lives or make sense of the struggles we're going through or are wondering what to do, trust God for comfort, for refuge, for direction, for change, for progress, for reassurance. God's got the whole world in his hands, says the children's song that you may know. And really, it's not just a children's song. It's a song for all of us, young and old. And so as we come to the end of 2023, perhaps you're taking stock of what has happened and what might need to happen in your life in 2024. Remember to trust God, the Lord of the universe, and to be content with what God has provided you. God has given us the strength that we need. Thanks be to God.